The 2nd century BC. Numerous trade caravans filled the expanses between East Asia and the Mediterranean Sea. The era of the Great Silk Road began. This was an era when the states located along the ancient route of distribution of goods, knowledge, cultures, and people started to flourish. The second decade of the 21st century, the modern world turns to the past. Asia and Europe are on the threshold of the birth of a new intercontinental highway. Railways, highways, transportation roads, logistics, and innovation infrastructure. Welcome to the new Silk Road. September the 7th, 2013, Astana, Kazakhstan. Teachers and students of the brand new and the most advanced and prestigious university of the country once again are preparing to meet the distinguished guest. Of course, it wasn't the first time the university was preparing to greet eminent speakers. The students of Nazarbayev University have already been addressed by former British Prime Minister Tony Blair and Prince of Monaco Albert II. But the speech of today's guest, the head of the most populous state, a country with one of the largest economies in the world, stood out from the general system of welcoming speeches of honorary guests of Kazakhstan University. From the rostrum of Nazarbayev University, Chairman of the People's Republic of China, Xi Jinping, officially announced the large-scale initiative of the Celestial Empire called One Belt, One Road. In order to strengthen economic ties, deepen our cooperation and expand the development space of the countries of Eurasia, we can apply a new model of cooperation and jointly form a new economic belt of the Silk Road, which, in my opinion, would be very beneficial to the people of all countries. On the Great Silk Road, we could start this with political agreement, building a single road network, strengthening trade, strengthening foreign exchange flows, and strengthening connection among our people, expanding the areas of interaction step by step. We will gradually reach full-scale cooperation in the region. The program has become the cornerstone, a new fundamental strategy of economic and cultural integration of China with the countries of the Eurasian region, the Middle East and Africa. Rich reserves of resources are concentrated on the territory of the mega project. 63% of the world's population lives here, and the estimated economic scale is estimated at $21 trillion. The One Belt, One Road initiative combines two sub-projects, the Silk Road Economic Belt and a 21st Century Sea Silk Road. The first one includes the completion of three large trans-Eurasian economic corridors. Its northern part starts in China, passes through the territory of Central Asia, including Kazakhstan, then follows to Russia and then to Europe. The central corridor covers China, Central and Western Asia, the Persian Gulf, and the Mediterranean Sea. And finally, the south part of the corridor will unite the Celestial Empire with Southeast and South Asia, as well as with the coast of the Indian Ocean. In turn, the 21st Century Sea Silk Road sub-project is based on two sea routes. One leads from the coast of China through the South China Sea to the South Pacific region, and the other connects the coastal regions of China and Europe through the South China Sea and the Indian Ocean. Due to its geographical position, Kazakhstan plays an important role in the implementation of the land route economic belt of the Silk Road.
В свое время многие считали, что это как геополитический проект Китая, грандиозный, амбициозный.
At one time, many believed that this is a geopolitical project of China, grand and ambitious, but in fact it is purely economic project. We are very pleased that President of Kazakhstan is so wise and pragmatic. He immediately understood the essence of this initiative and saw the opportunities and chances that this initiative can offer. The following year, he already launched his own strategy of Kazakhstan, Norli Zhol. Its content and strategy coincide with One Belt, One Road initiative. That is why we can cooperate with Kazakhstan so effectively.
Сотрудничаем мы именно сначала с Казахстаном.
From the very first days of independence, people in the country spoke about the need to use the transit potential of Kazakhstan. The republic's limited access to the world oceans was an acute problem. The problem started to resolve in 1995, since the conclusion of an agreement between official Astana and Beijing allowed Kazakhstan to use the Chinese port of Lianyungang for freight traffic. In 2013, their intentions came to fruition, and a year later, in the harbor of China, the first phase of the terminal under the joint management of the Lianyungang Port Authority and the KDZ Express was solemnly introduced. From then on, it was stated at the ceremony, Kazakhstan and transit goods would be able to move freely and quickly to the markets of the countries of Southeast Asia, Australia, and North America, and in the opposite direction to the countries of Europe and the Middle East. In 2014, the president of Kazakhstan announced the launch of the state program of infrastructure development, the Nurly-Zhol. A large-scale project in particular pays attention to the creation of a powerful, modern, high-tech logistic transportation and transit system in the country, which will consist of key hubs connected by a network of rail, road, sea, and air routes. To realize the full potential of the system, it must not have been autonomously operating. When interacting with highways and trade routes of neighboring countries, as well as with foreign markets, the transport and logistics system has every chance to demonstrate effective growth and continuous development. Therefore, it is not by chance that in 2015, Astana and Beijing agreed to pair two mega programs, Nurly-Zhol and the New Silk Road. The synchronization process began with the development of the land corridor.
Транзитный путь из Азиатского Тихоокеанского региона в Европу через Казахстан намного короче.
The transit route from the Asian Pacific region to Europe via Kazakhstan is much shorter than the sea route. Now the transfer of goods is possible within 2 weeks. This is what we are now doing with China. The strategic advantage is a key condition for the formation of a transnational transport alliance between Astana and Beijing. There are many points of conjugation between the Nurly-Zhol and the New Silk Road programs. In addition to transport, logistics, there are other aspects such as agriculture, business development, humanitarian programs, energy, and, of course, the construction sector. The construction from the first days of the implementation of national projects brought tangible dividends to the economy of Kazakhstan and thousands of new jobs. Over the years, we have been able to create a serious road construction industry, or the construction of infrastructure industry. We have very serious companies that are building transport infrastructure at the international level, and today they're successfully participating at international competitions in other countries. To find and consider the source of the international project One Belt, One Road, we moved thousands of kilometers away from Kazakhstan in the direction of the southeast of China, to the coast of the Yellow Sea. The Lianyungang city district has a population of over 4 million people, which is small by the standards of the Middle Kingdom. The local economy is based on the development and processing of large ore deposits and phosphates. There is also a nuclear power plant. The local population is engaged in plant growing and fishing, as well as in developing tourism. Lianyungang has nothing extraordinary except for the international seaport, which is the starting point on our journey along the route of the New Silk Road.
От морского порта Lianyungang на Желтом море в Китае берет свое начало новый шелковый путь.
The New Silk Road originates at the seaport of Lianyungang on the Yellow Sea in China. It connects more than 60 countries with trade and economic ties and several continents. At the same time, thousands of containers, millions of tons of cargo every day diverge from here around the world. It is from the LNG port that we will begin our journey through the largest logistics hubs located on the global international transport logistics route, which is the basis of the New Silk Road. As already mentioned, for Kazakhstan, which is located far from the open sea, the seaport of Lianyungang is of great strategic importance. The harbor itself is in the top 50 of the largest ports in the world. The total capacity of the harbor for the processing of maritime freight, 5 million tons per year. In the near future, China intends to double this figure. Kazakhstan terminal is located at the intersection of important trade routes. its construction was completed in record time. Already in the first year of operation, the terminal processed more than 80,000 containers in a 20-foot equivalent. By 2020, the facility will handle over 550,000 containers per year. The terminal is located on a territory of 22.5 hectares. The total cost of the project amounted to almost $100 million.
The Lianyungang port is an access to the open sea for Kazakhstan, and not only for Kazakhstan but for the countries of Central Asia. And we are sure that export transportation will develop via the Lianyungang port.
And a little more about numbers. Kazakhstan Logistics Terminal in the port of Lianyungang is designed for more than 1,600 container places. There is a temporary storage warehouse, cranes, and other necessary equipment. Currently, the terminal is loaded at 60% of the total capacity. Now, the hub accepts goods mainly from Southeast Asia, the lion's share of which is intended for the markets of the countries of Central Asia, including Kazakhstan and Europe. However, the volume of cargo traffic in the opposite direction is also growing.
Now we are sending wheat from Kazakhstan. At the moment, we have already sent 22 trains, which is about 33,000 tons, and somewhere around 1,300. These are the numbers showing what we send to Southeast Asia per year.
Over the 4 years of its existence, the entire algorithm of work in the Lianyungang terminal has been debugged and described in detail. The facility staff promise not to reduce the rate of cargo handling. Moreover, in 2 years, it is expected that the Kazakhstan terminal will sort out over 550,000 containers per year. Schematically, the object works as follows. A sea container ship delivers cargo by sea to the Chinese port. Then the containers are loaded onto motor vehicles. The procedure takes no more than 40 seconds per truck. Further trucks enter the Kazakhstan terminal and then are sorted. At the appointed time, the containers are loaded into trains and sent to the west. On average, the terminal forms and sends 2 to 3 trains per day. The same algorithm exists in cargo transportation from Europe, the Middle East, the Caucasus, the countries of Central Asia to China and beyond. Thanks to the new Silk Road and the development of the national transport and logistics system, almost all routes cross the territory of Kazakhstan and, of course, are processed at this terminal.
При сопряжении двух проектов, один пояс, один путь и райжол, Казахстан уже стал настоящим мостом, коридором между...
With the conjunction of two projects, One Belt, One Road and Nurlazhol, Kazakhstan has already become a real bridge, a corridor between the east and the west. Kazakhstan received access to the sea in Lianyungang. This status is of great strategic importance for Kazakhstan, and not only for Kazakhstan but also for China and Europe. This is a very good example for other countries.
Очень хороший пример для других стран.
Other countries are already exploring a good example of trade and economic relations. The expansion of terminal capacity is planned in the port of Lianyungang. We are talking about the construction of a logistics zone for the states members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The total area of the SCO zone terminal should be 450 hectares. With the opening of the new site, experts expect an increase in cargo flows to the countries of Central Asia, the Eurasian Economic Space, and the European Union. Well, as for our trip, all the containers that were awaiting shipment to Europe were successfully sent to the recipients. Within a few days after traveling a distance of several tens of thousands of kilometers, the train will return back to the Middle Kingdom. This time, the trains will be filled with goods from Western manufacturers. As a rule, in the People's Republic of China, there is a demand for high-tech equipment, medicines, mineral fertilizers, optical instruments, agricultural raw materials, and products. As already mentioned, a third of the railway line runs through the territory of Kazakhstan. Therefore, domestic producers could use the traffic as a tool for the development of domestic exports. Given the interest of new states for the mega project, experts predict an increase in freight traffic as a whole. Therefore, the algorithm of the logistics zones at the port of Lianyungang is constantly being improved. New technologies are being introduced, All processes are optimized. Digital transformation penetrates all key points of the transcontinental route, a separate state program of Kazakhstan designed to introduce digital technologies in all spheres of life, which is the process of implementation. Competently using intellectual potential, armed with new technologies, possessing reserves of strategic resources, and being located at the intersection of the main transcontinental trade and transport routes. Kazakhstan, in the very near future, has every chance of becoming one of the key players in the region, an example of the rational use of forces and means in the implementation of the state program Norley Jol and its synchronization with the global project One Belt, One Road. In the near future, all these factors will allow the Republic to restructure the national economy on a qualitatively new development trajectory.